Okay, this slimy snot asshole has made another video. Alright, so here's context. I made this video, and unfortunately, I made a lot of videos yesterday, so I accidentally recorded over this one. But anyway, I'll do it again, and this time I do remember some of this stuff, which is really great, so now I can give you real context. So anyway, it starts off this video just ragging on progressiveness, and ultra-liberalism, which is sort of interesting from the atheist perspective. But whatever. Then he does some sort of thing. He took some of these. We went to my old website on the cigarette tax. It's like 8 or 10 years old. It's before I had the stroke, which is a long time ago. But anyway, it was this. I filed a court case in the state of New Jersey because of cigarette taxes, because I bought cigarettes out of state, and the company I bought it from sent my personal credit card information to the state of New Jersey and informed them that I bought cigarettes out of state. And they did it because there's some federal law that sort of the feds decided to start imposing that really is completely unconstitutional. Just because you people hate me, you're going to justify that kind of craziness, where they used a 70-year-old law that had to do with interstate trafficking in massive amounts of tobacco with, taking people's credit card information and not informing them that you're informing another state that you purchased stuff in some other state. But whatever. Okay. So anyway, 18 months after I bought the cigarettes, the state of New Jersey started sending me tax bills for cigarette taxes. 16 months, anyway. So, I had bought quite a bit because I didn't know I was being monitored. I didn't know my purchases were being monitored. And they didn't have the courtesy to inform me that they were going to apply a tax. So now I was paying taxes in 2 states for my cigarettes. And I found that to be pretty much unconstitutional. That seemed really wrong. So I decided to fight the tax, because I think the tax is grotesquely excessive anyway, and unconstitutional tax vices anyway, and it's not what the tax code is for, and blah, blah, blah. Alright, so he's titled his video, I don't want to hear just your opening salvo, I want to hear your entitled battle something. Battery, yeah, that's it. That's what the judge said to me. So this is how the case proceeded, right? I filed a case. The Attorney General, the Assistant Attorney General, what they call the lawyers. Now they're working for Christie, right? The guy who's governor now, the fat pig, okay, who doesn't know, farts from, whatever, who now's the governor, right? This crooked bum who was the Attorney General then. And so, of course, they send their lawyers to fight me because I'm a citizen fighting a tax. And the Attorney General's office doesn't work for the people. It works for the evil fucking government, apparently, right? I mean, I always thought it was the other way around, that the Attorney General's office existed to protect citizens from bad government, not the other way around. But, okay, doesn't matter. Republicans. Anyway. Okay, so first this lawyer, bitch, cunt, calls me and informs me that if I don't drop my lawsuit and pay the tax, I'm vulnerable to a 5% penalty. So if I pursue my legal case, they're going to add time, okay, to my penalty. So how would that be? Let's just imagine that in the legal system. Plaintiff comes into court, okay, defending themselves against the accusation that they committed a crime. And they come into court, and the court says to them, well, if you don't plea bargain, if you don't give up now, all right, we're going to add another year to your jail term. We're just going to make up a new penalty for you. Can you imagine a justice system that could legally do that? That could just walk up to the murderer and say, no, well, look, you're looking at 10 to 20 right now, but if you don't plea bargain and admit you're guilty, okay, we're going to give you the death penalty. And they can just arbitrarily make it up. Just make up a penalty. Just pull one out of the ass and say, here's some extra penalty if you don't give up, if you don't consign, if you don't surrender to our extortion, if you don't sign the confession, we're going to add time to your sentence beyond what the law says you owe. All right, so that's the tax amnesty law they had. So I obviously looked this up, this law, and I found that no state in the history of the United States of America had ever had such a tax amnesty law except for Delaware, okay? And I couldn't get any information about whether the Delaware law was ever enforced. But anyway, so that, because it does sound on its face, right, a little bit preposterous that they'd have a tax amnesty law that didn't do something like say, okay, we'll take off the penalties, we'll take off the interest you owe if you pay now. No, one that added a penalty if you didn't pay the tax now. It just said you owe more tax. That sounds fair, right? Don't pay your bill now, we'll just keep making the bill higher. I mean, it's just preposterous. We're not interest. We're not talking about an interest payment or something else. No, we're just talking about a 5%, regardless of what you owe, increase in what you owe if you don't take their amnesty, if you don't plea bargain your tax. So they're basically taking away, extorting you out of your right to go to court and say, no, you wrongly gave me a ticket. So it's almost like a traffic ticket, right? If you got a traffic ticket and you said, this is bullshit, okay? The camera was fucked up, the cop was drunk, whatever, and they're basically saying to you, if you go to court, okay, we're going to double your ticket or whatever. I mean, that would be bullshit. But I'm saying double. This could be a lot of money we're talking about, okay? A tax amnesty law, somebody could owe 20 or 30 or 40 grand worth of tax, and so a 5% penalty would be really pretty onerous. So anyway, so that's the first thing they did. The Attorney General lawyer called me up and told me this crap. And I was like, what are you doing? This is like extortion, bitch. I didn't say bitch, but I knew this was not right. So anyway, then, like 5 days later, the judge calls me. The fucking judge who's going to hear my case calls me and does the same thing. The judge tells me, look, if you pursue this, you're vulnerable to a 5% penalty. What the hell is that? This is something you call justice in America? If you go to court and defend your rights, we're going to impose extra penalties on you. So, yeah, I mean, this is obvious extortion. This is obvious bullshit. So, anyway, that's when I really researched it. But anyway. So I filed a motion, okay, to get the judge recused. Okay, I'm just like, recused means, give me a new judge. This guy obviously doesn't know what the fucking law is. A judge is calling me to extort me out of my right to go to court. I'm going to present a case to a judge who's calling me to tell me give up or else. And I'm going to get justice from that judge. I should expect justice from a judge who's calling me and saying give up or else, bastard. Yeah, right. So anyway, so I filed a motion to have the judge removed to get a new judge. And the judge said to me, I don't want to hear just your opening salvo. I want to hear your entitled battery. Because I said something like, well, my opening remark is that what you did by calling me was totally unconstitutional and a completely disgraceful pile of crap. And he wanted to hear the whole thing. So anyway, so I gave him the whole thing. So that's the context of this motion. So when I wrote this papers up, I just said, the judge didn't recuse himself. And I wrote a really nice little 3-minute statement, basically just spelling out how you're out of your mind, Your Honor. And this is insane. And what you're defending is criminal. And why don't you just bow the fuck out before you look like a goddamn asshole? Now, understand, this is the same judge who in our next conversation stated I couldn't argue constitutional rights in his court, okay? When the law is I could argue constitutional rights in traffic court. I could argue them in any court. And this judge, this Harvard graduate motherfucker, didn't know that. And the Attorney General lawyer, Mrs. Skanky Cunt, also made the same exact argument. I have her on tape. I have direct quotes on the website stating, you can't argue the federal Constitution. This is state court. Right. This is the Attorney fucking General lawyer. Okay. And now this twat, this turd, this piece of fucking slimy snot, fucking anal snot. Yeah, anal snot. This fucking blob of anal snot. Matt's friend, by the way. Is so fucking petty. Okay, he is so fucking full of whatever it is, some sort of ego disorder regarding me. I mean, he's just so fucking horny for it that he's going to sit there and defend, essentially, what is preposterous judicial process and mock what I think was rather, it was pretty good, considering I never filed a lawsuit, never been in court before, never done any of it before. First try. I think it was pretty good stuff. So anyway, so now he's mocked, the Gettysburg Address or something. He did that in a Donald Duck voice or something. I didn't even listen to it because I think that's sort of a disgrace anyway. And so, just to prove that it's so much better. Yeah, the Gettysburg Address is better than what I wrote. Wow, big surprise. Yeah, and I used a little hyperbole on my website saying the greatest 3 minutes written, or whatever I said. Yeah, it was a good 3 minutes, a good argument, and the motherfucker ignored it.
Half-minute speech in history. Quote. Actually, I had to say quote because he quotes something in the beginning, so quote.
Yeah, I quote the judge in the beginning.
I wanted to talk to you because you, Mr. Mosier, you have made a lot of allegations in your complaint, but none of them is that you did not receive or purchase the cigarettes in question. Unquote.
Now, so here's the judge. The judge says to me, right? Right? This is what the judge says to me. Right? I'm in court, filed papers, my complaint says excessive taxation, and the judge is saying to me, well, you're not claiming you didn't buy cigarettes. I'm claiming I'm being illegally taxed, that I've conceded I bought cigarettes out of state, the details of how many cigarettes are in the complaint, and yet the judge asks me, he tells me, well, Mr. Mosier, you're not saying you didn't buy cigarettes. Oh, sorry, I mean, this is how horrific this is, right? That you go into court and the judge doesn't even understand that I know I bought cigarettes. I'm complaining about how much tax I was charged, not the fact that I was taxed, and he can't get that.
Quote. In contemplating this statement, I can draw no other logical conclusion or inference other than to believe that you have narrowed the scope of relevance facts to this singular question, did he buy the cigarettes? And that you have concluded that a division of taxation cannot have violated any rule of procedure that would cause it to forfeit its right or authority to collect this tax under the circumstances of this case.
Right, so I'm arguing, number one, that the tax is illegal. I'm arguing that they can't impose a tax 18 months later, right? They find out that you bought something and they're going to assess a tax. They can't assess the tax 18 months later. They have to do it in a timely manner or they lose their right to do it. I think that's a reasonable procedural obligation, and I think it was in the law, to tell you the truth. I was arguing the sales tax being imposed on a product that is all tax. I mean, if something is 500% tax, you shouldn't pay sales tax on taxes. That's just ludicrous. And the fact that they tried to extort me out of court.
I think there is sufficient legal precedent to substantiate the contention that state bureaucracies can forfeit authority by misconduct, and I believe I have a right to defend my contention that the Division of Taxation is in fact guilty of this level of misconduct before a judge who acknowledges and respects that precedent.
Right, so I'm just saying I should have the right to come to court and have the case heard by a judge who understands that, bureaucracies can do things that are just plain wrong, and somebody should have a right to say they're wrong.
beyond what I see as this, quote, misunderstanding of the law, end quote, disqualification. I believe this judge lacks required judicial temperament. It insults a reasonable man's intelligence to have the obvious pointed out to him. The fact that I am not denying in my lot accusations, a fact I stipulate to by obvious implication in almost every paragraph of my complaint, does not need to be pointed out to anyone.
Right, so I'm just pointing out that, Your Honor, I already said I bought the cigarettes. This isn't disputable. Of course I didn't say I didn't buy the cigarettes, because I said I bought the cigarettes. Duh!
The fact that this judge felt the need to make this statement in his first words to me in an off-the-record conversation in which the merits of the case were not to be discussed is, in my opinion, a breach of temperament beyond justifiable explanation.
Right. Why is a judge calling me to extort me out of court? Should that be part of judicial procedure? You get a call from the judge and he tells you, basically, you better not show up in my court, fucker.
Adding injury to this insult, the whole concept of this off-the-record give up now or we will persecute/punish you, some more pre-trial threat call, makes a mockery of this state's judicial branch of government. The fact that officers of the court who have been sworn to uphold and defend the Constitution can believe it to be constitutionally permissible to put a citizen at risk of added penalties for exercising their right to, quote, redress of grievances after they have already paid for it, is worse than just evidence of ludicrous imbecility. It is added proof that our legal system is in fact catastrophically broken.
Right, so get that too. You have to pay to go to court, right? So they're basically saying after you've already paid to get into court, lose the money you paid to get into court on top of everything else. We'll just take that money too.
As the cigarette tax itself demonstrates, one's constitutional principle is ignored to facilitate little lazy trespasses, legislatures are apt to commit in their search for easy solutions. The slippery slope soon proves the folly of bending fundamental principles.
Right, like taxing vice and just saying, okay, let's do that. And then all of a sudden it's 800% tax. That's the slope. Okay, do this little 5% penalty thing, and then it's a 10% penalty, and then all of a sudden, there's no justice for anybody but a millionaire who can afford to whack the fucking judge.
Currently, the legal system has help contrived.
Oh dear, a fucking grammatical error. Oh my god.
An 800% penalty on cigarette smokers. Currently, I face the risk of a 5% penalty for attempting to pursue my constitutional right of redress and justice. But what's to stop the legislature from making it 7%, or 70, or 7,000%? What's to stop the legislature from deciding that a hearing before a judge should cost $500,000 and the risk of the death penalty?
Right, so that's the point, right? I mean, how can something, once you allow these principles to be violated, they just can make it up? The principle is all we have. If we're not going to defend principles, if assholes like this jackass aren't going to defend the idea that minority rights, that minority liberties should not be taxed out of existence, that it's a wrong road, it's invalid, it's not the way government should work, don't they understand that that means any majority can do this? That means they can start putting fucking goddamn Stars of Davids on Jews again, you stupid fuck. That's the principle. Shit for brains.
If they can legally do one, they can legally do the other. The fact is, the judicial branch of government has abdicated its oversight responsibility, and now the only thing that stands between a reckless legislature and an individual citizen's rights is the hope of popular majority intolerance.
Right, so I'm basically saying now the only thing that can save us is persuading the majority to throw us a life preserver. We have to go to the majority of people to say, look, your government is out of control. Stop it, please, 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 because you're fucking violating principle. You're raping the goddamn Constitution, you cunts. But of course, they didn't come to the rescue.
That's my opening salvo.
Right, and so the judge said, I don't want to hear your opening salvo, I want to hear your entire battery. Well, I mean, that's pretty much the battery, you fucking cunt. I think I said something like that. I said something like, well, I think that's the whole argument, okay? I don't think you're competent. This is what I said after that. I think you violated my constitutional rights, and I don't think you should be hearing this case. Because I don't think judges should be calling me on the phone telling me to get the fuck out of their court. I mean, really. So this is what he's defending in this glib, patronizing, obnoxious, shit slimy way. I gotta find a way to make him a shit slime. Yeah, well, we'll work on it. A little bit more Photoshop work to do, maybe. Maybe a little animated gift. Yeah. What a fucking piece of shit. Ugh. Fuck you, Matt. Oh, there's probably a couple of seconds more.
So that was Gary's speech. You're all welcome to draw your own conclusions about which speech is better. I think I know which one I'm going to go with. And it's not the one by the nicotine American freedom fighter known as Amendo.
And a nicotine American freedom fighter known as American. Yeah, these people fighting for their rights to smoke cigarettes without paying $3,000 in taxes. Well, guess what? Maybe if the only way minorities can retain their rights isn't by appealing to other minorities to help out, well, maybe they should just persecute the fuck out of them then. Okay, maybe they should just say, fuck you when you come asking for help. Yeah. Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you, you ugly cunt.